Hey, and welcome to Group Up With Me, Hungover Media's esports show, this week focusing on the Overwatch League. My name is Ivan, over there.
I'm Julian. Welcome to the show, everyone.
How are you doing, Julian?
I'm doing pretty well. Overwatch League had a pretty good week last week, although there was one questionable game that we will discuss later. And I had a pretty good week. I enjoyed watching the games. There were some pretty good games that I think we may talk about coming up.
Group Up With Me. And so let's just start off from news around the league with the stage standings. Not a lot in terms of things happening because there's no trade window, etc. So what we have is the LA Valiant have continued rocking it out in this stage, and the NYXL suffered their fourth loss all season this
Yeah,
week.
this was their fourth loss that was not in a grand or a stage finals game, and in the regular season, obviously. And wouldn't you know it, they lost it to the LA Valiant, who have gone undefeated this entire stage.
It seems like NYXL is like, here, you may go undefeated this
Yeah.
stage. Here, you may go undefeated this stage. Uh,
Exactly.
and so maybe this is their way of freaking out
Giving
that team,
back.
because we see what's happened to Boston. Boston went from winning every game
Yeah.
to losing every game. So maybe they're like, LA Valiant, you're number 2 in the season standings. What if we gave you the stage completely
Dance,
and
puppets,
then
dance.
wrecked you in the playoffs?
Yeah, because I mean, if you watch the first game of the first map of their match of their entire match in Oasis, you'll see that NYXL pretty much completely dominated them, and then they went on to continue dominating them until, well, actually they lost the second. It went back and forth. So they seem to have been just sort of playing around, toying with their food, if you will, and it definitely backfired on them as they ended up losing the game. But I mean, NYXL has already secured their number one seed in the Overwatch League playoffs, so it's to be expected. They're cocky gamers, especially Pine, and I don't necessarily think this is that much of a surprise that they would do something like this.
Yeah, I
It's
think that it's
messed
more or
up,
less
but
just
it's
like
poor sportsmanship, honestly. But
the best team in the league just doing what they want, playing who they want,
yeah,
and doing weird things. We'll check them out later, hopefully, in terms of going in depth. But what we have here is a crazy three-way tie for fourth place. Again, map differential putting them
yeah,
in different places, but 4 and 2 are SF Shock, Houston Outlaws, and surprisingly the Dallas Fuel, who have continued their upward climb, doing pretty well
right,
this week when they defeated the London Spitfire and only losing to the SF Shock, which actually could come back to bite them in the end, coming into the
definitely.
stage playoffs.
But I'll tell you, this is going to be a huge week for both Houston and Dallas, because their map differentials and possible wins are going to determine whether or not they get into stage four playoffs for sure. I would say, if we have, for instance, let's say Houston goes 4-0 against their week's opponents. Then against both of them, and San Francisco ends up losing a match because maybe they're playing NYXL. I don't know. Then we could see a swap between San Francisco and Houston. So that those top four are not set in stone yet. I mean, LA Valiant and NYXL are most likely going to be in the stage four playoffs, but we'll see. At least the fourth place is up for grabs.
That's true. The really odd things is that what we can't see for this stage is obviously that the Shanghai is in the bottom. That was more for
Yeah.
Julian's sake, to make sure that he didn't see that there were 3 teams that hadn't had a loss. It's like, maybe it's Shanghai. They just forgot to put them in one of the lines.
Oh
But
no,
no.
I know where Shanghai is, all right, in the standings. I don't have to check. I don't need to know where they are. It's all right.
If you wanted to verify, we could also take a look at where they are in the league
Oh
standings.
my god.
And
Oh
raise
wait,
it
they're
up,
not
and there
there.
they are.
Yes, Shanghai has not won a game yet, and it looks like they're going towards 115 in map differential. I would probably say that's where they end up, depending on if they win their game this week. We'll see. We'll
Can
see
you
in the
like the
game highlights.
difference in the map differential, the season-long map differential between the Shanghai Dragons and the NYXL? Just the sheer weight of that is just
It's almost 200. It's
immense.
almost over 9,000.
Oh my
Oh
God, it's
yeah.
100 and was that 191 right now?
Yeah,
The total difference. That's
it's
crazy.
ridiculous. It is quite ridiculous.
So
Shanghai, yeah,
yeah, but see,
Shanghai.
despite Dallas's standings overall in the season, they still have had a very successful stage four, and I think that that might be one of the better ways that we can look at these teams' performances is how are they looking at the end of the stage and going forward. So Dallas Fuel is going to probably end the season on a very positive note. If they can end
Yeah,
it in the stage four playoffs, that's that puts a very good note on what has been a very tough season for one of the I think heavily favored teams by the crowd and by people who follow Overwatch and be competitive Overwatch because of the core that this team was, which did very well at Apex, the only Western
yeah,
team to win Apex. So I think coming back and showing that yes, we can use the meta in our advantage. We can have a stable team that will let us win. So
yeah.
I'm excited for the end of stage four for Dallas.
I agree. It's going to be exciting.
All right. So with that all said, what was the one thing that you want us to take away?
My juicy comp, or what are we?
Yes!
Yes,
It's like we have
yes,
a rundown that you
yes.
could follow.
Nailed it. I understand what we're doing. I didn't know if you wanted me to have like one last say on what we're talking about with the playoffs. Sorry. This is a thing that we do every single week called Julian's Juicy Comp. Roll the intro, Vaughn. Just roll it.
That guy's awesome! Awesome! He's awesome!
Yes, this is the segment of the show where I break down an interesting comp that I saw during the week in Overwatch. Overwatch League, that is. This came to no surprise to me. Well, actually, did surprise me. The NYXL versus the Valiant. I didn't think that I would see much of a change, a shift from the meta, the main characters being played. But this was particularly interesting. They were playing on Gibraltar, NYXL is on defense, and the lineup is Widowmaker, Winston, Diva, Zenyatta, Mercy. I mean, those are standard characters, but we have a Torbjorn here. Now, this is only because of the way the first point in which Gibraltar plays out for the defending team. So the Valiant can choose to, because the team fight happens so late in the point, NYXL chooses to have this Torbjorn, and generally you can end up getting surprised towards the end of this point one that is, when the team has pushed the payload pretty far, and at that point you're getting steamrolled. So the whole purpose of this comp is to have the advantage of knowing what the team, LA Valiant in particular on attack, is running, having their full comp known. NYXL can now change Torbjorn out. So what they've done is they placed the turret out there, and Torbjorn Libero specifically is going to place his body in the spawn room. So that way his team can give a call out, and he can also have a presence on the point at the same time and counter the LA Valiant team, which he did by picking Hanzo, because he's been playing Hanzo lately.
Feels a little
yeah.
trolly, Julian.
Yeah, well, look, I didn't say that NYXL won this game. I'm just saying it's an interesting strategy for anyone who's playing in a six stack trying to get serious about winning Gibraltar matches. Perhaps that's an area where you guys struggle because you get countered very often if you play on the high ground and then you have no options to change. It takes a very long time to counter switch, and then by then they've already captured the first point. So
Yeah, so you see, Liberal, in fact, at this point, he builds his turret, and then he is like, "Oh, maybe I should upgrade it to second," and then his team is like, "Go back."
yeah.
So he doesn't even upgrade it to level 2, which means it's slow rate of fire, low health. So it really does absolutely nothing. He could have literally just been in spawn, but I guess it gives him something to do, and it allows Torbjorn to get a little bit of time in Overwatch League, even if it doesn't really strictly count.
Well, I mean, I thought the idea could have been successfully taken off if he had gotten out there if this was the initial plan to begin with, which I don't think it was. It seemed to have evolved into it, but if you plan to do it immediately, then I think you could possibly pull it off.
Led to an interesting idea anyway, right? So
Yeah.
using that turret to stall a little while you choose the counter pick, as you've been stating. So thanks for highlighting that extremely juicy comp. So after we highlight that juicy comp from Julien showing our Torbjorn gimmickiness again, thank you Overwatch League, we like to highlight our player of the week. Well, players of the week, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Because this time we each have one, and we might even have more than one per person. Yeah.
We'll see.
So, Julien, who are you highlighting for your player of the week?
Today, I'd like to highlight a player on the Dallas Fuel who is a big fan favorite. I mean, a lot of the players on Dallas Fuel are fan favorites. We got Mickey, Taimu, but specifically Siegel's very popular due to, obviously he's a very successful Overwatch player, but he has a very big following on Twitch as well. And so he always has a lot of fans in the crowd. I'd like to highlight Siegel because particularly in the game where London Spitfire played Dallas Fuel, Siegel did really well on map 2, which was Horizon Lunar Colony, and I really think that because we've seen Mickey move on to the Brigitte role, and also this is an interesting comp as well. I almost highlighted this. We've been seeing a lot more one tank roles with Brigitte, so particularly Orisa. So they chose to run an Orisa as the solo tank and run 3 healers, and then Siegel is allowed to, because he doesn't have to play flex tank in this role, he's allowed to flex on people. So he ends up picking up Junkrat in this situation, and later on he plays Genji as well, as he's known for playing. He's very flexible Overwatch League player, and I really wanted to highlight his play because he's a very valuable player on anyone's team.
Yeah, I would say so. That was a pretty stellar performance by the Dallas Fuel against the London Spitfire. And again, Siegel being able to play so many roles. I mean, later, not in that match, but in the match against the SF Shock, for instance, Siegel ate up a Baby Bay Dragon, or whatever the arrow. What is it called?
The wolf hunts for its prey.
Yeah, whatever the dragon arrow or whatever it is. I can't remember.
Dragon Strike.
Dragon Strike.
I don't know.
There we go.
I don't actually. Maybe.
So he obviously does a lot for the team, and we've highlighted the fact that Dallas is better partially because of the turmoil that went through and his ability to flex onto characters like D.Va, as well as those projectile DPS. So he does really well for the team, and I'm pretty excited to see how they finish out this stage. Now, that being said, I'm going to highlight a guy who is known for styling on people and just going balls to the wall. My player of the week for the first time this season is Pine.
Oh my god! Big Boss Pine. Thank God.
As we can see in this, Pine is playing Widowmaker on Oasis, and he's able to first pick out Soon. Then the Soon gets rezzed. Then he gets Soon, Custa, Agilities. He's popping off, as he's popping off, as the friend would say. Then not only that, but he is able to go into Gibraltar and find this angle, which he does 3 times in this match, and it's just a crazy, crazy angle. So you have to get this little pop-off nudge and on that slick surface, and are able to swing around and catch that back landing and snipe from behind. Now, funnily enough, Soon would go ahead and use this exact angle in his competitive ranked matches, in the ladder matches.
I didn't see it.
And get like
That's awesome.
basically a team kill using this this grappling hook method himself later. So I think Pine has introduced this line. I don't know if everybody knew about it, but it's a crazy line that I don't think anybody had used or seen before. Why he would whip this out here, I don't know, because I think it's a pretty stylish move that you could use for a bunch of different things. But I love this. You bounce off that slick surface, hit that corner. You have to time it perfectly. He never really goes off at all. He gets 1 kill on Soon, I think the second time he did it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty intense to
hey,
see.
he probably just thought of it, and then the pressure is on him now to perform because he's made such a bold move. So, I mean, Soon was able to get a lot of kills in his ranked match, but there's no pressure in a ranked match for these guys. But there's pressure on the stage, so I can see why he missed the shots. But oh well, it's a sick move.
My God,
I know you're practicing it.
Was that Pine being Pine? I love it. Okay, so our players of the week are done for this week. Such an exciting. I was in love with that move. Julien was like, "Oh my God, Pine did this," because I wasn't able to watch the game live, and he was like, "You've got to practice this."
It's so gonna win all our games.
If I can do that in our comp matches, or we'll just be seeing a bunch of Widowmakers dying just on third point of Gibraltar. In any case, what we have left to do is my important question. Now, in line with this question of seeing Pine do these crazy stunts and NYXL give away a victory, I really think that they did. Should the NYXL be punished for throwing games in Stage 4?
If they can Overwatch League is kind of disorganized as is, so I don't think that they could possibly get their committee together to prove that NYXL threw this game. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that if NYXL wanted to win that game and wanted to play seriously, they would have won that game. If you just take a look at their performance on Oasis and how they literally didn't die during the first point. None of them died. And so just having that knowledge, and you highlighted Pine himself, right? So just if Pine wasn't trying to be all flashy and things, then I think they would have won the game, honestly. But
so
yeah,
we've seen
I don't know.
everything, every kind of punishment being handed down for every kind of thing, and we've seen people like DeFran get basically banned from competitive Overwatch for some time for throwing his ranked matches.
He's a lucky man.
So why wouldn't we be able to see the NYXL be punished? Just let them take Stage 4 off. They don't care anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it comes down to does Overwatch League care? I don't know. It's getting them more viewership to watch that NYXL in general. So I don't know. I don't think they care enough about that to punish them for this.
Yeah, obviously it's not a super serious question this week.
Yeah.
We don't actually think that NYXL is like throwing hard or anything.
Purposefully. No, not at all.
They're just playing a little bit more free style of play, which is not as serious as they would be in like a stage playoff or we'll see in the season 1 playoffs. And it's nice to see that there's a team that can win so much and still have fun with the game.
Yeah.
I think that the stress of what happened in Stage 2 knocked Philly off of its game in Stage 3. And the stress of being the only team to win all 10 games in Stage 3 has made Boston just sad to watch at this point in time.
Right, yeah.
And lacking flexibility. So I think that, seeing a good team continue to be great is something that is necessary. And again, not a serious question, but a question that I have that is very serious for you, Julien. What is the game that you want to highlight this week?
Wouldn't you know it, Ivan? I've got one last chance with these boys and one girl. So they better fucking prove it. Shanghai Dragons versus Florida Mayhem. Let's go. Shanghai's first win is gonna be on Wednesday, June 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Whatever time that is, the rest of the world when you watch it, all right? Look, this is their last chance, all right? Who knows? They're not going to win their next game, right?
They're not going to win any games, Julien.
Yvonne,
Face it.
This is against the Florida Mayhem. The Florida Mayhem have been on just a downfall. They had a chance in the last stage to prove their worth. They were doing pretty well with Logic Sun Tracer and various characters. I can't think of the other characters that are really good. Other players on their team that are really good at the moment. Saya player was Saya player was super sick. He came in at the end of stage 2 and in the beginning of stage 3.
Awesome guy, the addition who took over for Swoosh.
Right. Okay, yeah.
They still have Zebasai and
they still have these people.
Though.
Oh, exactly, and that's sort of their weak link, in our opinion. I would definitely say that Florida Mayhem had a really strong chance, but they haven't been able to cope with the Brigitte meta. And I think that Shanghai is making some serious changes on their team, and they're starting to play Brigitte more. So we may see Shanghai's first win. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Well, we've seen teams that if they can go with a strong Brigitte meta comp and another team doesn't, then they'll lose. Even if it's the London Spitfire, one of the best dive teams to ever exist, they went up against Dallas Fuel and just like wave hitting rocks. They hit Brigitte's shield and died over and over. For a team that has such great players, they had no strategy there. And it was a lack of coaching. Now, you stated at the beginning of this stage that the Brigitte meta could be Shanghai Dragons meta. And then they came out and dropped a very huge chocolate pudding emoji in their first game. Not playing Brigitte at all.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Letting Mickey run wild on the Brigitte. Now, could they come back and using Gaguri or somebody else on the Brigitte actually challenge the Florida Mayhem? Yes. Will they win? Absolutely not. Even if they have a collection of better players than the Florida Mayhem individually, they can't communicate. The supports don't know what the tanks or DPS are doing.
Free Phil! Come on, man. You suck.
Anyway, free Gaguri. Let's get her on a good team, or let's let Shanghai
put her
win.
on NYXL. She would really shine there.
A team that we just talked about, Dallas Fuel versus Houston Outlaws. That's my game. So apparently you only need to tune into Wednesday of Overwatch League this week at 9 and 11 Eastern to watch the games that we think are important. So again,
that's all that matters.
Houston and Dallas are tied kind of for that fourth place position. SF Shock is in there as well for the stage playoffs. And this is going to be a test. Houston won 2 games last week. Guess who those games were against, Julien?
Korean teams made that up. Shanghai and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shanghai and Florida.
I didn't say Shanghai could beat Houston. I said they could beat Florida.
I know. I'm just saying that Houston had to use the bottom tier of the league in order to get 2 wins. So I
Okay.
think that Dallas will be able to crush Houston once and
This is
for all
true.
in this week. Also, I wanted to say if I was the Shanghai Dragons coach, I would have thrown literally every game in the Overwatch League to get to in this stage and focused on only what Florida Mayhem does as strategies and
Yes.
countered them and
Just so you
just
could win
don't
this.
care about what any other team is playing except for the Florida. Win this game. Win this game
Who
right
says they haven't
here.
been doing that, Yvonne?
I know,
Who
but
said
this is
they
what
haven't been
I
doing that?
expect team specific strategies in that game, and I expect Dallas Fuel to win in this game.
All right, we will have to see today. Hopefully, this video will publish on Wednesday. But if it doesn't, then it will have already happened. And well, I hope you guys enjoyed the games.
Yep. All right. So that will be all for us this week. But this isn't the end of Group Up With Me for this week.
It's true. It's true. We're gonna try to put out a Evo Bootcamp 2018 video. So this is going to be a mini series where we highlight a game that's being played at Evo, the championship tournament, the biggest fighting game tournament for every video game, almost every fighting video game that is, of the year. It happens every year, usually in Las Vegas, and we're going to be breaking down some of these games, so how the games are played and such. So, and who you should be looking out for, who are the top players, which characters are in the meta right now. So this is going to be a series to sort of introduce people into fighting games, as I've been playing fighting games for a long time. I don't claim to be very good at them, but I like Overwatch. You know, we don't necessarily claim to be pros in Overwatch, but we definitely pay attention to the meta, and we love to have discussions about how the video game is evolving. So I wanted to sort of bring fighting games onto this channel, and sort of have a similar discussion as to what's going on in the fighting game community.
Sounds great to me. I will be learning along with, I
Yeah.
don't know, the viewer who is like, I don't know anything
What's
about
this
Evo.
game?
I'm going to look into
Yeah.
this as a primer. So I will be doing my best to catch up with all of the fighting game knowledge, and Julian will take the lead on that one. So it's exciting for me because I don't have to put in all the work.
And I'll tell you something, Evo is really cool because it's a tournament, so it only takes place during one weekend. All of these games are going to have huge tournaments, and the coolest thing about it that I think is, and most fighting game tournaments, is that they're not, of course you have the pro players that are all sponsored and are most likely going to win the tournament, but every now and then you see these uprising players, professional players. Maybe they could be amateurs, because anyone can enter an Evo. You just have to pay the entrant fee, and as long as you can do that and get yourself to the tournament, then you are in Evo. So that's so cool. You can end up playing against these players. So they may end up going up against a strategy that they did not know existed. So because you formulated it in your bedroom. That's so cool. I think that's like
Me, I could
so
have done
cool.
that.
Yeah, you
I
could
could
have.
have been. I
I
am
don't know.
sandbagging you, Julian, every single time we
I
play.
mean,
I'm like,
yeah.
what's a tech? How do you tech
Exactly.
that?
There's just, I'm just saying it differs from professional sports and professional esports, in that, you know, obviously Overwatch League, all these players were selected by very rich people who own the teams, and whoever, I don't know exactly how they were selected, but I'm guessing that's how it was. But it differs in that, you know, you could potentially make a name for yourself just by going to Evo. So I think that's cool.
Sounds great. Well,
Yeah.
we'll look forward to seeing more of those and putting those together for you all. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Again, we have a podcast on Mondays. This comes out generally on Wednesdays, though sometimes on Fridays. And
Yeah.
we will be going forward with as much as we can about Evo in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. Love you. Bye.
Bye.